Hi guys, it's Sarah with Grassroots Evolution Tarot, and I'm here today just to bring you a message I've been kind of getting for the past few days about grief. And I feel like for some of you, you may be dealing with grief. I feel like as well, I know myself I am, so I'll be open and honest. This message could be just as much for me, but I felt like it was important to share with you guys as well. So for anyone who's new to my channel, thanks for stopping by, welcome. And if you feel like this resonates, if the title drew you in, if you want to see more, please hit subscribe, join the journey with me. I'd love to have you along the ride. What I'm going to do, as well as my subscribers, I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. I mean it. You guys mean the world to me. But what I'm going to do today is I was strongly guided to bring an excerpt from this book called The Language of Letting Go, and it says Daily Meditations for Codependence. Now, for some of you, if you've ever read this, it's Melanie Beattie. She has another book called Codependent No More and Beyond Codependency. This book has been very, very helpful for me in my own world, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So I'm going to read to you an excerpt from this book, as well as I brought in a few oracle cards. We don't have any tarot today, but I have the Messages from the Mermaids, the Whispers of Love oracle, and I brought in the Keepers of the Light oracle, as well as the Sacred Self-Care oracle. So if I trigger you at all throughout this, take it, use your empowered vulnerability. What does it mean? Where am I triggering you? It's hitting something meaty, right? What feelings does it make you bring up? Or what feelings are brought up for this? For some of you may have strong crow totem. Here we've got magpies, but the birds, pay attention to the birds as well, okay? But you may want to do some journaling as well if I do hit a nerve or I trigger a feeling. Kind of explore this on your own and come from an empowered place, knowing that this vulnerability that you have, this is where our healing, this is the road to healing. So follow that yellow brick road, my friends. So let's get into this. Before I do, I'm going to ask Archangel Michael, Archangel Metatron, my team of light, any of my spirit guides or your spirit guides that would be here for the highest good of any of us watching, to join us, to guide, guard, bless, and protect myself, this reading, and any of you who would ask for it, to use me for the clearest channel possible and to the most far-reaching of audience, but only for our highest good. No second-rate messages here today, okay? None of those. I just want to say as well, if you go into the back of this book, a lot of this codependency, she focuses on alcoholics, right? Alcoholic Anonymous. But I'm taken straight to number 12 that says, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in our affairs. Many of us who have had to overcome something, regardless of what kind of codependency, if it's addiction or if it has nothing to do with that, you, my friend, you're the light bearers, the torch bearers, the guides along the way. You are here, you've went through it, and it's something that, while it's not easy to share your experience, and it's not easy to share in your vulnerability, or maybe even to be that torch bearer in times of need, this is, I heard, what you're meant for, right? This is here, what you're here to do, and for many of you, you're very, very good at it, okay? So keep up that work. For some of you, you may not even trust fully in your abilities, and that's okay. Keep practicing, but what we need to remember always, and first and foremost, is to have trust and faith in ourselves, and to know as well within this that grief is a process. I want to share something before I read this, because it reminds you just how quickly, when they say grief is a process, this can be remembered. I took a walk with I'd had my family with me, I had my kids, and I went with my mom and her, everything, and we were taking a walk, and like my niece and nephew are with us, and we're taking a walk, and my son calls me over to a grave he's seen. We took a walk up to our graveyard and around, and I saw the name on the back of it, and I had a moment of, oh, please no, because when I was in high school, there was an accident in the high school I went to, and someone I went through public school, like junior kindergarten on. A few of our friends were killed, and this particular person, my son's like, Mommy, come look at this, and his tombstone is absolutely beautiful. But my son pulls me over to it, and it was exactly who I thought it was, my friend Philip, and years had gone by. And I was okay because I've come to a place of acceptance and I'm still okay. By trying to tell you guys now, and even getting, and looking at his tombstone, and explaining to my son he died in a car accident when I was in grade 12. There's a lot of unhealed stuff within me, and this has been, I'm 37. It is almost 20 years ago. So the thing is with this is that grief is a process, and sometimes it's going to hit you. You may not have thought about something for a long time, and all of a sudden, here we go. So give yourself grace and give yourself love throughout this. So I'm going to enter into this now, and this is where I also feel like today was the day, because I've been hearing about grief and I've been kind of getting messages, but today when I experienced it in my own world too, and we've lost my grandmother in the past couple of months too, and I feel like this message, while it may be for me, I hope that it helps whoever you are. I hope you are helped by this as well. So let's see what it has to say. Being gentle with ourselves during grief, October 12th. So how they do it is it's daily. So I kind of was guided to go back into the back, find grief, and this is the one that I was led to. And it also, after there's more in transformation, because it's important we acknowledge this grief, but it is important also that we allow transformation, okay? The process of adapting to change and loss takes energy. Grief is draining, sometimes exhausting. Some people need to cocoon for transformation. In Pat Carnes' words, while going through grief. We may feel more tired than usual. Our ability to function well in other areas of our life may be reduced temporarily. We may want to hide out in the safety of our bedroom. Grief is heavy. It can wear us down. It's okay to be gentle with ourselves when we're going through change and grief. Yes, we want to maintain the discipline of recovery, but we can be compassionate with ourselves. We do not have to expect more from ourselves than we can deliver during this time. We do not even have to expect as much as ourselves as we normally would reasonably expect. We may need to rest more, sleep more comfort. We may be more needy and have less to give. It is okay to accept ourselves and our changed needs during times of grief, stress, and change. It's okay to allow ourselves to cocoon during times of transformation. We can surrender to the process and trust that a new exciting energy is being created within us. Before long, we will take wings and fly. Sorry, that's gross, I know. God, help me accept my changed needs during times of grief, change, and loss is the affirmation here for today. So I'm just going to pause you and blow my nose. Okay, I'm back, guys. So they're also showing me another one they want me to look at, which is across over here, controlling versus trust. And there's a quote in here I'm going to read to you that says, "There was a time in my life when I felt so afraid of and overwhelmed by the very fact of living that I actually wanted to make out a schedule for each day of my life for the next 5 years. I wanted to include all the chores I had to do, when I would do them, even when I would schedule relaxation. I wanted to get some order in what felt overwhelming. I wanted to feel as if I was in control." And she says, controlling is a direct response to our fear, panic, and sense of helplessness. It's a direct response to feeling overwhelmed and to distrust. We may not trust ourselves, our higher power, the plan, the universe, or the process of life. Instead of trusting, we revert to control. We can approach this need to control by dealing with our fear. We deal with fear by trusting ourselves, our higher power, the love and support of the universe, the plan, and the process we call life and recovery. We can trust that when things don't work out the way we want, God has something better planned. And ain't that the truth? It says we can trust ourselves to get to where we need to go, say what we need to say, do what we need to do, know what we need to know, and be who we need to be, and become all we can become when we are intended to do that, and when we are ready, when the time is right. We can trust our higher power and the universe to give us all the direction we need. And I want to actually say I'm not really a biblical person. But the other day I was taking a walk, and I heard a part of Psalm, I think it's 21, 23, of the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And I thought it was really funny and weird at the time, but it was like just this reminder to trust. I feel like why I get some biblical stuff as well as I have some passed on loved ones that I feel like are also they were more of the faith, and my faith is spiritual, so sometimes this is how it comes through, okay? So also, but that Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, that is just know you are protected and you will be provided for. You just have to have faith in this world. And what I also heard is do good in the world too, because we want to be of service. This is what I heard is, okay, and it's just take it how it is. It could be, it's God, spirit, source, universe, the almighty, however you view this, but that universal power, it's almost like the more good you do, the higher your vibration, the more you lift other people up, and the more in service you are. This doesn't mean don't be service to yourself, because that's important too, but the more in service you are and the more love you have to share with the world, the more good that you spread. You're magnetizing it, and the almighty upstairs or whatever, the universe is like, you know what, we reward those that do good in this world. For some of you, I heard change comes. Sometimes change is daunting. Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it's slow. And I want to show you my cup because it's like mom off duty, do it yourself. This is where sometimes change is slow. We need to be like, okay, well, universe, you're taking a while. I'm going to start taking those steps, putting them in motion. Because if we procrastinate and we don't get going on with what we want to see, we're not going to see the results we want to see. So I'm going to take a sip of my coffee for a minute and see if there's any more in this book. They said, they opened me up to clear thinking. Strive for clear thinking. Many of us have had our thinking clouded by denial. Some of us have even lost faith in ourselves because we've spent a degree of time in denial. But losing faith in our thinking isn't going to help us. What we need to lose faith in is denial. We needn't resort to denial, either of someone else's problem or our own, because we were deficient. Denial is the shock absorber for the soul, protects us until we are equipped to cope with reality. Clear thinking and recovery don't mean we will never resort to denial. Denial is the first step towards acceptance, and the most of our life we will be striving to accept something. So this also goes through, this is one of our stages of grief, is denial, right? Well, it can't be true. No, I'm not going to believe it. This hasn't actually happened, as well as for some of you, depending on what the situation is, we may have people around us too. We may be dealing with people who are really in denial of, the truth of what's happened around them, or that what is happening. And I mean, what they're giving me an example of this is we've all seen this within relationships potentially, that, sometimes there's someone going, you may say, look, there's a problem, and somebody isn't emotionally intelligent enough or emotionally available enough to see it, and they're just going to pretend that it doesn't exist because they don't know how to deal with the situation, and they're just in denial again. So when you try to deal with the situation again, we can come back to denial because we're just almost going to refuse to see it. So if we can't see it, we're denying it. There's not a problem. Everything's perfect. You can see this sometimes, I feel like, in divorce and things like that. An example would be, if things are not working out and you're working on separating, you're getting divorced, and your partner could be, just reiterating to other people that you're still together, right? And then at this point, this is a no, like, you have to stop. Like, this is not happening, right? We are no longer together. So and hopefully this isn't your situation, but there could be someone, again, that this comes in lots of forms, okay? This could even be if we've lost a loved one, that, there's the denial that it's even really been gone, right? Maybe they're just somewhere else. That especially, I feel like it's harder if you haven't seen this person in a long time as well, because proximity, they're going with, like, if you haven't actually seen this person and you don't see them often, right? Well, for you, it's not a huge catastrophic change. It is a catastrophic change, but not to your day-to-day environment. So it's going to be things that, like, if you didn't see this person all the time, you may still be in denial of what's come. There may be a lot of things I heard where we're in denial of reasoning, or we're even in denial within ourselves that we need to make a change, that our situation isn't working out. This could even be on our end, that there's something we're kind of refusing to see. So for lots of us, that's like saying, well, there's nothing wrong with my caffeine addiction. Well, I know that there is, but the part of you that wants to be in denial, like, there's nothing wrong with it, right? But then when you wake up tired and cranky and you need a cup of coffee, this is where it's like, that's an addiction, right? So what I would suggest, and I've been trying really hard, is first thing in the morning to drink tea, to switch on to coffee, but even it's this constant struggle where I can go off coffee for a really long time and then I want coffee. So we need to bring awareness, right, to the places where we keep things to ourselves. So they've also got here feelings as well. And I just want to read the first paragraph that says, it's okay to have and feel our feelings, all of them. Years into recovery, we still may be battling with ourselves about this issue. All of the prohibitions we've lived with, this one is potentially the most damaging and the most long-lived. Many of us needed to shut down the emotional part of ourselves to survive certain situations. We shut down the part of us that feels anger, sadness, fear, joy, and love. We may have turned off our sexual and sensual feelings too. Many of us lived in systems with people who refused to tolerate our emotions. We were shamed and reprimanded for expressing our feelings, usually by people who were taught to repress their own. But times have changed. It's okay now for us to acknowledge and accept our emotions. We don't need to allow our emotions to control us, neither do we need to rigidly repress our feelings. Our emotional center is a valuable part of us. It's connected to our physical well-being, our thinking, and our spirituality. Our feelings are also connected to that great gift, instinct, that enable us to give and receive love. We are neither weak nor deficient for indulging in our feelings. It means we're becoming healthy and whole. Today I will allow myself to recognize and accept whatever I feel passing through me. Without shame, I will tune into the emotional part of myself. Let's say that again. Without shame, I will tune into the emotional part of myself. Without shame, I will tune into the emotional part of myself. I think that was important to kind of go through those as well, because with this, it's like many of us, especially in our grieving process, some of you may have people around you who think you're taking too long to grieve. It's all on your own timeline, my friends. And unless no two people's grief are the same, right? No two people grieve the same way. For some people, I'm very emotional. And for some people, they view my emotion over my grief as oversensitive. And there's many places where it's like, it's not oversensitive. Those are the feelings. Allow them to come through. Because, I'll say it now, but there is beauty in those tears sometimes, Today, even though it was really, really hard to see the name on that tombstone and to, even just, not that I haven't I've thought about him in the last little while, but it's just been to see it again and to remember it and to tell your children, that this happened, So Spirit has look for fairies all around you. I also heard little sprites. You have make a vision board in reverse. For some of you, I feel like if you're definitely, if you're going through grief, and for some of you may have really focused on other things, right? Other distractions. What they're saying to me, because this is the reverse, and I normally wouldn't care that it's in reverse, it's just whatever. Make a vision board. For some of you, this may be things you might like to do to help you move past your grief. Put that up there. For some of us, this could be that, again, in this denial stage of the grief, doing everything, trying to keep your mind occupied or busy, because in these moments where we're not occupied, we're experiencing immense grief and we don't want to sit in those emotions. I would suggest, I mean, this is just me, right? You do you, my friends, but allow it to come in, feel it, and let it go. Because otherwise, it's gonna eat you up, right? It stays in there. So I keep thinking about, like, swallowing our feelings, right? Oh, nope, not gonna deal with that. Well, what happens? You're gonna get a bellyache, you're gonna end up with an ulcer, stress levels. I mean, this is the thing where it's okay to have those feelings in the first place. There's no shame in expressing feelings, in being emotionally vulnerable. There's no shame in any of that. So remember that, okay? But this vision board, this could be many things. If you're not quite feeling whole, what could you do to self-care wise, right? What could you do to make yourself whole? Go for a walk. Cook yourself a dinner. For some of you, I feel like this could be vision board. For others of you, this is like that when they talk about that checklist, but not to be so controlled in this checklist again, right? Not to make so much of this is all the things I have to do. I have to be hyperventilating is what I heard in that thing, right? I have to be always on top of my game. I have to always be busy because I just can't put things down. Spirit's asking you to take a look into the magical. This could be even get out into the forest. Schedule that in if you need to. Get out, leave your phone at home. Do something, unless it's bear territory. But do something, right? They've got exercise here, yoga. Do something to get your body moving, your blood flowing, your creativity going. For many of you as well, they're showing you this, listen to your heart. Listen to your heart. Listen to those feelings. These are gifts because they are connected, like it said, to our instincts. So if we are feeling certain way too, like especially if you're feeling really emotional and someone, it's definitely around other people, like a certain person, think about it as like, well, are they putting me down? Are they saying things like, what's going on? You know, and that could just be for some of you, you know, like, what is it? Also, I want to say, I know myself, there's times where if I strike a tear, why? Right? It was for you. Maybe not. But it's the same, I know sometimes when other readers will read something and when it hits me emotionally, it's like, it resonates. So we have a few. The bottom of the deck, I want to show you, there's two, is we all have a fundamental need to take breaks. You do, and you deserve it, my friends. My battery's going to die, so I'm going to wrap it up with these cards. But we have love makes the difference. Love can heal past hurts and provide a sense of security, self-worth, and importance. And please, please, please show this love to yourself first, my friends. You are always worthy. And you have show simple acts of kindness. This is within yourself, to the people you love, your friends, your family. A simple act of kindness can energize you and bring happiness to those around you. So sometimes what I heard is if you're feeling in a rut, do something good for someone. The bottom of the deck I want to show you because I saw it and it's such a gorgeous freaking card. I absolutely love this card. But it's the Union of Hearts. There's a connection of love that defies explanation. For some of you, this could be, you know, this love that you still have on the spiritual side, depending on what the loss is. For some of you, this is a reminder to really show the love and kindness and support to the people that are in your worlds now. Have the people in your worlds be at union, right? We are at union with each other. I feel like this is where it's like, there's no push and pull anymore. I think this is here where there's a surrender. It's no longer resistance. And what I heard was, for this to happen, we need to be vulnerable, right? Because there's no way. I heard that you can call this love or this kind of friendship or partnership or wholeness within yourself. There's no way we can do that unless we accept our vulnerability and accept as well that that's part of our wholeness. Because if we deny those feelings, if we gulp them down and we refuse to see what our emotional body's trying to tell us, we're not in a state of wholeness. Spirit's saying maintain that state of wholeness. So hopefully it doesn't shut down on me. If it does, I apologize. But this keeper of the light really wanted to come, and I'm going to ask for one parting message as some advice moving forward, please. Next steps. Wow, lots. But the card that showed itself upright was this soul expansion with Mahadvatar Babaji. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connection between all things. You also have white feather that was on the bottom here with ancestors. Connect to your family lineage. A family wound or pattern can be healed now. The divine director, Mary Magdalene, Dharma unfolding. Odin with psychic insight, cosmic gateway, Archangel Michael, God has you covered, Spirit has you covered. Follow your inner knowing of your path, because the messages you have to teach, or whatever lessons that are being taught to you right now, trust that it is divine intervention. Trust that your ancestors, what I heard, have set you up for this. They have set you up for success. They would not set you up for failure. You just need to put your foot forward and do the work towards creating this soul expansion, because boom, the world that we can create, it's unfathomable, it's even unseeable to us, because we are limitless. What I heard is also, we are of the stars. We are of the stars. And when I turn this over, love is all around you. There is love everywhere, all the time. Simply acknowledge this truth. And when you're moving through grief, remember that as well. There's always love. Even in our times of grief, we're experiencing grief over a love, because we've loved. If it's over a person, we loved. We would not grieve unless if our hearts weren't connected. And this is a real time to give gratitude and thanks that we had this opportunity to love. So I'm just going to take this opportunity, because it's the end of my video, and out into spirit world. I'm very, very grateful for my grief at this time, for my grandmother, for, as I mentioned, my classmate Philip, because it meant that I got to know them, and I had love for them, and so anyway, that's the message I have. I love you all. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day. I hope that this message resonated. I hope that it helped. Hopefully you're not crying like I am, but I love you, love you, love you, and I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.